Personalized nutrition will disrupt the food, beverage, and supplement industry. But I'm going to be completely honest and say that it's a little bit gimmicky right now. There's no denying that today's consumers expect personalization in every aspect of their lives. Through artificial intelligence, our Netflix feed tells us what we'd love to watch next. Our Amazon feed tells us what we'd love to buy next. So why does there seem to be a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to food, beverage, and supplements? So before I get too ahead of myself, probably good to define what personalized nutrition means. It essentially is the recommendation of a dietary behavior that is appropriate for an individual to maintain optimal health. It takes into account the individual dietary and lifestyle patterns and preferences, biomarker status, and genetic background, and delivers advice on food choice, eating pattern, and lifestyle relevant to nutrition and health. So why has this personalized nutrition started to kind of become a trend and start to gain some popularity? I think first of all, consumers are just exhausted from trying to make decisions. And because there's a ton of noise in the market, be that from just too many options in the market, and that's driving them to make bad decisions and them not getting results. I also think that there has been advancements in technology that has allowed this to be more economical. And there's just a natural desire for personalization across a bunch of different consumer categories. While this year personalized nutrition is heating up, and you're seeing large CPG portfolios and some retailers like GNC and Vitamin Shoppe jumping into this, its current application is far from the disruptive force that it will become in the future. And I talked about this when I predicted that this year personalized nutrition would be a trend to watch. I also said that it was definitely not going to completely get to the point where it was going to become disruptive, but it was going to be something that you guys were going to need to pay attention to. I've been going back and forth if this is going to be a 2019 thing or 2020 thing, but I feel pretty confident to say that you're going to see a lot of traction in the customization, personalization of like supplements and nutrition in 2019. I think that's going to be a major trend. I think the major question that everybody's trying to wrap their heads around right now is, in this current environment of privacy and just kind of, maybe even driven by Facebook and some of these other major tech companies being a little bit loosey-goosey with privacy and information, customer information, are we willing to give up that level of customer information to a consumer brand, be that maybe even like a GNC that just kind of came out with a DNA type kit to create a personalized type of experience? Are we willing to give that level of personal information, customer information to them? Are we going to trust that they're going to treat that in the right way long term? Because you can't get more intimate than your DNA and just kind of the iterations of that in the future, blood tests and different interlinkages with some of your other connected apps. I think that's the major question I have and why I've been teetering on this 2019 or 2020 type of a thing. But confident enough to say that you're going to see a lot of traction in it. What I'd argue is that a lot of the traction is going to be with kind of like this faux type of customization or personalization. It's not going to be a full level. It's not going to be what ultimately makes us a better human, I guess you could say, by having that level of customization or personalization. Most of these are going to be just like souped up databases that you get a questionnaire or some level of input form, you put some different answers, it kind of populates a SKU set that maybe does or does not have variations within the SKU set that maybe matches up with the answers you give. A brand is going to have several different SKUs, and those SKUs are going to be kind of recommended to you. It's no different than some of the machine learning or things that an Amazon already does with some of their recommended buying and things of that nature. But you're going to see a lot more brands talking about customization, talking about personalization. I want to take a second and just kind of look at the two offerings from GNC and the Vitamin Shoppe, these personalized supplement and nutrition programs that they have been promoting a lot about lately. So the first one is called GNC for You. And there's kind of two levels to this program. Talk about level one is essentially an input form that's linked to a particular database. That sequence of answers to that input form queries the database based on some proprietary algorithm. And those queries give you a personalized supplement regimen and also helps you with some personalized nutrition and training protocols. Now there's a second layer to this, which essentially you go through the same input form, going to go through all of the same steps that you did before, but there's also a DNA kit that you send out to get tested to essentially get some more information to input into this proprietary algorithm that will then give you a better set of personalized supplements and personalized nutrition and training protocols. Now to shift gears with the Vitamin Shoppe, theirs is actually called the Vitamin Shoppe Only Me. They're essentially only kind of going with the level 1. So same kind of input form that is linked to a database. Those answers are inputted into a proprietary algorithm that spits out a personalized supplement regimen. But the nutrition exercise protocols, or what the Vitamin Shoppe calls health plans, they're actually going to be done outside of this Only Me program, and it's going to be kind of collectively added to another layer, value add layer that Vitamin Shoppe is really focusing on, and that is through their certified nutritionalists. So the users of the Only Me program and then some of the different layers of the Healthy Rewards program gets access to certified nutritionalists. And they have some consultative kind of one-on-one things that they could do. Depending on the market that they're in, they could be doing those in the store, they could be doing those by phone, or they could be doing those through some type of video chat. But it basically is going to give you some rich kind of individual type of health plans to make sure you're still on track. So they're adding a human element to this Only Me program. But after hearing those two offerings from GNC and the Vitamin Shoppe, why do I believe that personalized nutrition in its current sense is gimmicky? I guess I'd like to ask everybody if you believe that that personalized nutrition offering is disruptive in any way. My answer to that is no, and tell you guys that the main purpose, at least currently, for these offerings is to acquire a bunch of customer information, and that is for these retailers to add different personalization layers to marketing programs and into a larger product suggestion algorithm that they would probably bake into their digital website in the future. Additionally, it helps them create some lock-in with their retail brand because you are getting something personalized, you can't easily switch over to something else. And this subscription model helps them create a bunch of reoccurring revenue, which is ideal for any type of business. And I don't want you guys to think that this is any knock on the Vitamin Shoppe or GNC. Honestly, I've consulted with brands and told them about this idea for the last several years, and this is something that is implemented by a lot of other consumer packaged goods brands, not necessarily just retail brands. So you see this coming from companies like Care of or Gainful and a bunch of other names that are in vitamins, minerals, and supplements categories. You also see this across all other consumer categories as well. But before I talk a little bit about what my vision is on personalized nutrition, I just want to cover one more personalized nutrition startup, and that is from a brand called Habit. Before I kind of talk about the levels in which they have in their business, I will say that this was a primary investment by Campbell's Soup back in 2016. I think they put $30 or so million in it, but they actually did exit that, and it is now owned by Viome. And this is another personalized nutrition startup that does things a little bit different than Habit. So I think they're going to mash these two ideas together to create kind of an ultimate consolidated offering. But that acquisition only happened in early 2019. So I'm sure there's some time where they're trying to add those capabilities into a better offering in the near future. So Habit actually has like a level 1, level 2, level 3. And you're not going to see level 1, level 2, level 3. Like that's not like a term, that's something I just made up. So don't really look at Google search results for like these different levels of personalized nutrition. I just think there's a level in which a consumer has to have some buy-in, and there's some things that you need to do that is kind of increasingly more difficult on these layers. So level 1 is just this input form, very easy. That's something that all of these offerings that I talked about do. Then you have level 2, which is kind of a DNA. That's like a saliva test, so usually pretty easy for consumers to do. I know it's a big step for a consumer to do, especially when you don't know if you can trust that the DNA is going to be used and not sold. But level 3 is what I'm talking about, like blood markers. So Habit actually has a level 3 where you do go get blood tests, a bunch of different maybe like cholesterol readings or glucose readings, so they can understand outside of like genetically like what's happening in your body. And then additionally, Habit also takes a comprehensive approach that includes digital tools like food journaling, activity tracking through Fitbit. They also have some levels of like community support, digital meal plans, recipes, and goal tracking. So they're adding elements of community, they're adding also some elements of wearables and different things that are going to read some inputs and outputs through maybe your exercise. And then they want to make sure that they can track what's going in your body from a food perspective. So Habit, with this acquisition with Viome and just in the future, I think they're pushing the limits. I know there's some other startups that are even going further than that, but that was just a big name one that I thought would be important for you guys to at least know about. But let's walk into my futuristic mind a little bit. And you guys can see how I envision personalized nutrition playing out in the market. Now, this is coming from a non-scientific guy. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not anything like that. So please take that in consideration. I am looking at this from my particular angles and the way that I see and view things. I always like to look at things from problem and solution and just kind of lay that out right out the bat. What is the main problem within personalized nutrition that needs to be solved for it to be truly disruptive? Our bodies are in a constant fluid state. That fluid state is shaped by your behavior. And I think this is called epigenetics. I believe, if you guys want to look into that, talk about the problem. What is the solution that needs to happen for this to be viable in the market, like this truly disruptive personalized nutrition? So it needs to have the ability to constantly adapt to both internal and external factors. If it's able in real time to do that, then that is what I consider truly personalized nutrition. So as an example, if you push harder in the gym in that particular day, the system should adapt in real time to that behavioral change. Another example, if you spend maybe the day in smoggy LA instead of where you live in clean air Montana, the system should adapt in real time to that environmental change. And then another example is if you have deadlines in work and you're kind of overly stressed, you have to work harder and you have to work longer, the system should in real time be able to adapt to that lifestyle change. So right now, inputting a form and then maybe correcting that on a year-to-year basis, even a quarterly basis, is just not going to cut it. Having your blood taken once or maybe on a yearly or even a quarterly basis, again, is not going to cut it. Having your genetic map through a DNA test sent to these proprietary algorithms, again, is not going to cut it. It's not going to fully cut it. Even managing your food from an external basis. As you guys might know, there is a variance sometimes with just the food production and based around maybe where they come from. Just because you're eating a red delicious apple doesn't mean that that red delicious apple from maybe Washington, maybe the same nutrients or maybe the same chemicals or pesticides that were used on it in the red delicious apple that comes from Virginia. And I don't know if red delicious apples come from either one of those, so don't call me out on that. But those particular food inputs that are coming into your body, even if you're tracking this on a per gram basis and you know what's going into your body, those variances and how they react to your genes in your body will create some variances that need to be accounted for in the system. And if you're interested in this, I think it's called nutrigenomics, another kind of concept that is around the science of personalized nutrition. So if you think that GNC or the Vitamin Shop or any other non-billion-dollar free cash flow spitting company that isn't getting tens or hundreds of millions of dollars in private funding is going to solve this problem, you are crazy. This is going to be solved by somebody much more capable than what you're seeing today. Not to say that some of these startups, because they are getting funded very well right now, couldn't be the one that cracked the code. But to me, I think there's going to be a more holistic partnership ecosystem that needs to happen for this all to work. To me, I think about like ingestible sensors. I think about non-needle constant blood draws. I'm thinking about 24/7 monitoring devices, so similar to maybe like a Abbott Labs Freestyle Libre. And on top of all those things, I think you're going to need to have some very strong strategic partnerships from different companies in industries like health, pharmaceutical, healthcare, technology, and food and beverage. Because all of these companies will need to complete the loop with software, hardware, food production, and a number of other big audacious areas to solve the challenges that, honestly, as a management consultant, strategy consultant, it could keep me up at night forever, even thinking about some of these things to truly create the idea in which I have as real-time learning, changing system of personalized nutrition. And I know whoever's listening to this is probably thinking, Josh, we're going to essentially be machines. And honestly, that could be the case. I'm not exactly sure if eventually we get to this point where we are half human, half AI. You guys might think I'm extremely crazy at this point talking about this, but I think that if you start to look at maybe even some of the bleeding edge people, especially on Silicon Valley, very rich people, very rich founders that are thinking about how to biohack their world, biohack their lives, you're seeing that people are already trying to execute on some of the crazy thoughts that are in my head. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to help support me, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button on this video. If this is the first time you've been introduced to my videos, would love for you guys to be a part of my community by subscribing to my channel. I upload several videos just like this weekly. And if you guys want to connect further outside of this platform, I do include all of my social media links down below. I just want to thank you guys again for your time. Hopefully I gave you some value in return, and we'll see you guys on the next video.